to protect wildlife.
I think it can help show how much people care and how many people care.
An up-and-coming basketball star.
And a glimpse into some of Canada's tragic history.
They lost everything, and it was just pure racism.
Hello everyone, my name is Victoria Brzezinski.
And I'm Hannah Vino. Welcome to our show.
We're your hosts for today.
Our first story comes from Hartlen Point, where a group of birdwatchers are fighting to save the home of their beloved animal. Kaylee Stevens has the story.
Driving along Shore Road in Eastern Passage isn't much of a scenic route. Army and Air Force bases stretch out and fade into large expanses of car lots, each car waiting patiently to be bustled off to a dealership. But as you get closer to the coast, you'll drive through a little seaside community littered with Protect Hartlen Point signs. Finally, nuzzled against the seaside, you'll find Hartlen Point itself, the picturesque tip of an otherwise industrial landscape. Unfortunately, the beautiful shoreline and trail has already lost some of its familiarity. Now, pink tape marks the construction's cut lines, and bright orange rope stretches out to keep people away from the main project area.
This is very sad. It makes me sad.
Nikki Gullett is the co-founder of Protect Hartlen Point. This local group started a petition against the Department of National Defense's proposed land-based test facility and are leading the outcry against it.
In terms of what the petition can do, I think it shows community outrage. It shows where people put their value in things. I think it can help show how much people care and how many people care and don't want it here.
People in the community do care, which anyone could tell by the Protect Hartlen Point signs around town. However, some are a bit conflicted about what is best for the community.
For one thing, it's like I live close by and it's a nice walking area. That's like a lot of migratory seabirds wind up there. So that's a big point. And it is a nice area to live in. A lot less traffic. So that part of it, but on the other hand, I know it is D&D property, and yeah, they can do what they want with the land. Maybe some more economic development here, maybe better bus route, sidewalks that come with it. Who knows? So it's a little bit conflicted for me. Yeah.
Lucas Berrigan is a Bird Canada migration ecologist. He says that developments like these keep happening because of the lack of understanding and data in regards to the importance of landscapes like Hartlen Point.
The issue really is that we don't have enough data to say where they spend their time the most and what types of habitat are the most important. But we know from Hartlen Point, just the sheer number of birds that are seen there, even though we also know it's heavily birded. There's a lot of heavily birded places in Nova Scotia, and this one stands out of them all. And I think that speaks to a few different things.
Regardless of the D&D not recognizing or understanding the importance of such a landscape, birders and community members know its value and will continue to fight for the project's reconsideration. Kaylee Stevens, The Signal, Halifax.
Moving on from birds to their main predator, cats, Chloe Hannon has the story on why feline friends are becoming popular among college students. Chloe, how did you come across the story?
Yeah, so I've recently been noticing how many college students are adopting cats while getting their degree. So I interviewed some college students to figure out why this is. So here's what I found.
When I'm going through panic attacks or things, I can just pick them up and they're just yeah, we'll stay here till you're done with your whatever.
Studies show college students benefit from the companion of a cat. While they are a low-maintenance pet that won't get in the way of your studies, they have also been proven to better your mental health. Noylan is a fifth-year student at Dalhousie University and has recently adopted 2 cats of her own.
Cats help me stay in a routine. They're really good at recognizing patterns, so if I've woken up at 6 a.m. for 2 days, on the 3rd day, they'll be up at 6 a.m. being hey, why aren't you awake? And as annoying as that is, it's really helpful come exam times when all I want to do is sleep. But they make sure that I'm up and doing things so that I'm not just in bed all day sad.
Brain scans show that being around cats will activate the prefrontal cortex, providing a calming effect and fulfilling emotional support. Washington State University recently conducted a study that involved bringing cats onto campus to examine how students reacted to their presence. The study concluded that the students who were the most excited about the cats were those who were the most emotionally burdened.
I always had pets at home, and I felt like living by myself was going to be very lonely, so I thought, why not get a little buddy?
Carol is a fashion student at NASCAD and adopted her cat Pepe during the pandemic.
I do struggle a lot with mental health, so having someone around that can sort of like sense if we're not feeling well, and sort of like, cats can really sense things better than dogs can. And especially with Pepe, like if I'm down or if I'm crying, he usually just lays next to me. And he's a very good company, I feel like.
Student cat owners are finding that their overall happiness has improved since bringing a cat into their home. If your studies have you feeling stressed, why not adopt a furry friend? For The Signal, I'm Chloe Hannon.
Aiden Rodding investigates the recently unknown decommissioning of blue light safety phones on the Dalhousie University campus.
So what are blue light safety phones anyway?
Well, it's funny you should ask. In fact, many students, including myself, didn't even know they existed. Here's Aiden with more on the story.
A student heads across the campus at night. It can be an unnerving walk if no one else is around. 27 years ago, Dalhousie installed blue light phones. It was the latest campus technology. With the push of a button, an intercom would connect you to campus security.
Are you aware of the Dal blue light safety phones that were once on campus?
I actually don't know what that is.
I've never heard of it.
I know there's an outlet on them.
In fact, some don't even have that. All of the 9-foot-tall beacons of safety were decommissioned last summer. It appears no students were told.
If I was ever in a situation where like I am walking super dark quad in the middle of the night and like I go to use one of those because I'm like in an unsafe situation and it not be working, it's like, I feel like that's something we should know ahead of time.
Aparna Mohan is the president of the Dalhousie Student Union. She says the lack of communication is disappointing, but not surprising.
There's a lot of updates and information that can fall through the cracks.
Campus security didn't respond to our interview requests. They did write, in a Freedom of Information request, there is no record of the phones ever being used. Not even for prank calls. Only kids at summer camp trying them out of curiosity. Security said the maritime salt air damaged the blue lights and that repairs were too expensive. They pointed instead to the Dal Safe app released in 2014. It has 27,000 subscribers. With a few clicks, the app will help you connect to security. When we asked if students knew they could contact security that way, they didn't.
I know it gives you information when your classes are canceled and about the weather, but or like anytime there's an emergency alert, that usually goes out on the phones. Like they usually post it with that, but not too much really outside of that.
Probably. I think I would go, obviously, to 911 first.
Aparna says she uses the app in a passive way.
Where I don't go into the app's notifications come to me.
The president says the app's safety features aren't well known or well used.
I'm also uncertain on whether they have been, they're still being serviced. That's just not something that I've received any updates on, and it would be very worthwhile to look into strengthening some of those supports, and we'd invite, Dal Security and any other units to work with us to fill in those safety gaps.
Whether it's a 9-foot pole with a button to push or an app on your phone, it's only effective if the person in need knows how to use it. This is Aiden Rodding for The Signal, Halifax.
A chemical engineering professor is putting her chemistry knowledge into soap making. Shishi Zhang has the story.
Amil Ghanem is a chemical engineering professor at Dalhousie University. Her favorite research is making soap.
We're getting close.
She enjoys experimenting with soap making using healthy and eco-friendly ingredients, like white sugar, brown sugar, and edible color powder.
This one is okay for eyes and lips.
She uses her love of crafted material to spur on her experiments in the lab.
Big reason why I became an engineer. I'm very hands-on. I like to make things. Started out making crafts, doing sewing, knitting, all of those types of things I've really enjoyed. I'm also really interested in educating people on the science involved in making cosmetic products. So I'm really happy to have found the way of expressing my creativity and science through developing cosmetic products and consumer products, because I can use all my background and my interest in cosmetics, my interest in creativity to make products for people. For adding anything right now. I love the fact that it can be used as an education tool as well, to try to teach people about science through everyday products. So see here how
Rosa Ren is a graduate student in chemical engineering. She took Ganam's class 3 years ago.
She was my undergraduate professor that has taught me several of the undergraduate courses, and we made our projects making the soaps that was extremely interesting. I feel like she's a pretty of the spontaneous woman, being pretty much a good role models for me, inspire me to go pursue graduate studies.
As Ren reflects on the lessons she learned from her professor, Ganam's passion is inspiring her students to pursue their goals in chemical engineering.
Yeah, it's finished, so let's go try it out though.
For The Signal, I'm Xi Jiang.
I would have quit, so if I do it again.
Ginyu Ngala, also known as G, is the leading basketball scorer for the Dalhousie men's Tigers. His journey to finding his way to university stardom in Atlantic, Canada was not an easy one. Thomas Scott reports.
Ginyu Ngala, also known as G, is the Dalhousie University Tigers men's basketball leading scorer. He puts a lot more into his game than what you see on the court. His journey to finding his way to university stardom in Atlantic, Canada was not easy.
Yeah, coming to Dalhousie was great. Well, obviously for me it was a different coming, just because I came right at the peak of COVID 2020. So I didn't get the full experience of what it's like to actually be in your first year as a university student, just the campus life and so on and so forth. But I mean, I got this year being in my year 3, I got used to the city, used to the culture. Things are going pretty well right now, and I'm really seeing the life of the city, how much of a sports city it is.
It was at Vanier College in Montreal, Quebec, where Ngala was a 2-time provincial champion. He played with current teammate Joshua Kulamala.
Go to the weight room, I see G in the weight room. I'm like, damn, bro. I'm trying to put in extra work, and I still see G in there. But it's always funny. It's just that kind of nature. That's the nature of our relationship. It's just always just gym rats, honestly. Just always being in the gym, always pushing each other, competing. That's kind of the person he is and the person I am. So we really bonded like that.
Coming to Dalhousie, Ngala has brought a work ethic to the team. A work ethic in which Ngala wanted Kulamala to help instill. This time on the East Coast.
Oh man, Kulamala's been great. I mean, me and him have instilled this work ethic since we've been at Vanny together, and I think we've just pushed it forward here, just being at it every day, whether it's 6 a.m. or after practice, before practice. You know, we push each other to our limits all the time, all day. And I think having someone like Josh Kulamala, you know, pushing each and every one of us every day is great. You know, it shows great leadership on and off the court. So I mean, it's good. It was really good to have him this year.
G said others growing up in his area in Montreal did not have the same support system that he had, such as having both parents and a support system keeping him on track. G and his teen years could have gone on that same path.
So my family and my core friends, and then, you know, my cousin is my biggest mentor. You know, they just help me stay on track. You know, that's my biggest support system. I think just having good people around you and that want the best for you is always going to keep you on track. So I think that support system has helped me throughout, you know, struggles and, you know, where it's not doing well in school, or like, you know, doing just immature activities, or they really helped me a lot stay on track. So they've helped me get to where I am to now. So it's really all thanks to them, to be honest.
Ngala's focus now shifts to winning a national championship with Dalhousie. Next year's Nationals will take place in G's and Koulamala's home province, in Laval, Quebec.
For me personally, being from Quebec and Montreal, going back there, hopefully getting the chance for my family to see me play live, you know, bringing back the first national championship to Dal would be it'd be a crazy Cinderella story.
Thomas Scott, The Signal, Halifax.
The Gritty to Pretty project is about to open applications for 2023. This helps found artwork in public spaces in downtown Halifax. Hannah, what made you look into this?
So I've actually been driving by some of these artworks for a while now, and I actually saw a post about the Gritty to Pretty project, and I realized what was behind them. So I wanted to know more.
In downtown Halifax, there can be so much daily commotion. In the midst of this, artwork can be found all throughout the city. Jonathan Goldson's job is to help coordinate the wall or space that will be transformed by the artists.
My job on the team as a planner is to look at the different spaces that exist and figure out how we can make them just more welcoming to better accommodate the businesses that exist downtown. So the Gritty to Pretty program is basically designated to provide artists a platform to bring some vibrant art to the downtown landscape. Typically, it has been known to be a mural program, but it is so much more. So it could vary from a very intricate form of seating to a very unique style of sculptures. But mainly this mural stream is the more popular program.
John McPartland, known as Abson, paints the mural Sound of Time in 2022. This Barrington Street brick wall became a personal journey for him.
I was running with the idea of watching my mom play piano as a kid. So that awe as a kid was something that I also looked at other artists and muralists and graffiti artists. When I was a kid, I was just I want to be able to do that one day. And then fast forward 10 years, now I'm actually doing that. So I thought of that growth from being a kid and being inspired and in awe of the big kids doing creative things and then becoming one of those big kids. And so there's a cycle going on. So yeah, I was trying to use time, incorporate it with classical themes, and then have the creative journey all up in one.
Applications for 2023 will be opening in early spring.
So this will be the 9th year, and we're really excited to bring back a program that has done so well to support a different diversity of artists throughout downtown.
Hannah Vino, The Signal, Halifax.
Wow, that artwork looks gorgeous.
I can't wait to see what new artists have in store for us this year. Now our final story. Victoria, you take us to the Canadian Museum of Immigration at Pier 21. What went through your mind when you viewed that exhibit? And it's kind of a darker period of Canadian history.
As a Franco-Polish immigrant, I was shocked to learn that Canada had such an upsetting history.
Halifax's Pier 21, the reception center for immigrants during the 20th century. Today, visitors of the Canadian Museum of Immigration at Pier 21 learn and reflect on the stories of immigrants to Canada. 2 exhibits take visitors through the Canadian internment of people during the First and Second World Wars. Enemy Aliens explores the internment of immigrants from Bulgaria and the German, Ottoman, and Austro-Hungarian empires.
I think in times of war, there's always a tendency to find the other and to pinpoint blame, and there's fear, and it's important to remember what the consequences of that are and that fear, and when we act like that.
So for example, if we look at the Ukrainian or German immigrants that first were recruited to come help settle, for example, Western Canada at the end of the 1800s, within a couple of decades, they're basically considered enemy aliens, right? They're foreign nationals and could possibly be national security risks, right? And so they become less desirable. And so I think the exhibit really speaks to the question of citizenship and desirability and how that basically changes depending on internal and external events, but also the government of the day.
Broken Promises shares the stories of Japanese Canadians during the 1940s.
Definitely the Japanese, they suffered quite a bit. They lost everything, and it was just pure racism.
The exhibitions tell the stories of repression, struggle, and injustice that impacted the lives of thousands of innocent people.
I think you can say that Canada's come a long way in terms of how we deal with human rights and that sort of thing. Probably still a ways to go. Definitely still a ways to go.
The exhibits continue until April 23rd. Victoria Brzezinski, The Signal, Halifax.
Before we end the show, we have a special segment. We asked Haligonians what they are hoping for this spring. Victoria, what are you hoping for this spring?
Sunny days and a temperature above 10 degrees, please.
What are you most excited about for the spring?
I'm really excited for the flowers to bloom.
What's your favorite flower?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I really like bleeding hearts, but I also like tulips.
I think I'm most excited for the warm weather. I'm from the Northwest Territories, so we get cooler weather for a very long amount of time, and it's nice to see the sun out at the beginning of April.
Just spending time outside with my friends and just being able to walk outside.
I'm moving to my house because we got an apartment. It's got big windows, so I'm excited for putting plants up in our windows.
Well, that's all the time that we have today.
Thank you for watching.
For The Signal, I'm Hannah Vino.
And I'm Victoria Brzezinski.
We hope that you enjoyed our show.